Hello, wine world. Welcome to the podcast Wine in Black and White. Have the pleasure today of interviewing Niki Williams, the winemaker at Cake Bread Cellars, which is a fantastic winery that's been around 50 plus years, right?
51, yes.
So tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you, first of all, your career and how you got here, but then how did you and Cake Bread become a marriage in a sense?
It was definitely a journey. I did a career transition. So I started out with absolutely zero clue of what I wanted to do when I grew up. I got an English degree from Illinois Wesleyan.
Nice.
And then went on to study theater. So I was kicking around Chicago theater for quite some time. And my day job was in the travel industry. So I was lucky enough to start traveling all over Europe and visiting Chianti, Bordeaux, Burgundy, just these incredible wine regions. So that's where kind of wine started to sink its hooks in me. And then I moved out to Los Angeles, realized I didn't really want to be working in the LA world of acting. Went back into travel. I was doing African safaris for a while.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, wow. That's pretty cool. I love African safaris.
It was an amazing experience.
Okay.
And had a chance to also visit the wine region of South Africa. So again, just
Stellenbosch region
yes,
over there. Yeah, I've been
just
there several times.
gorgeous, isn't
It's
it?
outstanding, yes.
So I was doing African safaris for a while. That was right around 2008. And then we know the economy kind of went sideways.
Absolutely.
And African safaris definitely slowed down. So I had a chance just to stop and think what I really wanted to do with my life. And I kept coming back to this idea of winemaking. I grew up in a farm family, so agriculture, my background in theater and the art world, and I really truly believe that wine is this amazing combination of art and science, so it just made sense to me. So I went back to school, graduated from UC Davis.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay.
And then just started working in the industry. I was lucky to land some great opportunities in Napa early on. I was working for Franciscan and Mount Veeder Winery. I worked with Maryvale Family of Wines. And then the opportunity popped up at Cake Bread. And the chance to work with this legacy brand that is so well known was just an opportunity I couldn't say no to.
When you was on your wine journey, did you develop a certain style that you kind of gravitated towards and that you wanted your wines to maybe smell like, taste like?
Great question. Italian wines were my first love. It was really like when I went to Italy, it was the first time.
Okay. I only laugh because I don't think I have any Italian wines in my cellar. Yeah, but anyway, go ahead. I just left Italy, by the way. I was in Piemonte for a whole week and had an incredible time. Yeah,
it's gorgeous there too.
It really is. But go ahead. Yeah.
So I just remember my first experience of really tasting wine and thinking this is so special was just at this neighborhood trattoria in Florence, and it was just the menu of the day with a carafe of red wine, and I just thought that table wine was the best thing I've ever had. Right?
It really is, though. You can't get anything like that in America.
No, and it just was this perfect pairing of food and wine. So there's something about Italian wines that still really speaks to me, and I think part of that is just the way it pairs with the food so beautifully.
Of course.
Really fresh acid, and I love that there is just a synthesis and an idea that great wine is part of a great meal. And that is something that still really appeals to me. So when it comes to wines that always stand out to me, it's that fresh, vibrant acidity. Again, this is something that I love about the wines that we make at Cake Bread. Our wines have always been known for that. So for me, I love those really aromatic, elegant style wines.
Okay, so let's go a little bit forward. Talk about the Cake Bread family and how they've been around for over 50 years, and they were started by the head, Mr. Cake Bread. I don't recall his name, in all generations and generations, and how they've evolved and still been able to be really significant in the wine industry.
Yes, the brand was started by Jack and Dolores Cake Bread, and they had such an interesting partnership right from the start. Jack was focusing on the winery and the vineyards, and Dolores really was, before her time, creating a culinary program. So she always had a huge garden, and really together they set off on this path of always pairing wine with food. And it's something that you can really still taste in all of our wines, that they are designed to pair with food.
Mm-hmm.
So they started the brand, grew it slowly. Jack was originally an owner of a garage in Oakland, so he was a mechanic. And they bought this property in Rutherford and slowly started developing the vineyards and starting the wine brand, and it just kept growing and evolving. Two of their sons joined them in this journey. So Bruce took over winemaking and running the vineyards, and Dennis was sales and marketing side of things. So yeah, 51 years later, we're still family owned. We have 18 exceptional estate vineyards. We have 2 up in Anderson Valley where our Pinot is sourced, and then the rest are in Napa. So we just have an exceptional collection of vineyards that we're working with.
Okay, you like to let's kind of taste through and start with the Sauvignon Blanc. This is 2023.
Yes.
Fresh.
Yes.
Really easy drinking. Great flavors. Anything else you'd like to add to it as far as I guess it's totally no oak treatment, right? Stainless
Correct.
steel.
Exactly. Right. Stainless steel. We do have a little bit of concrete eggs here, so I'm lucky that I have 24 of the concrete eggs in the winery that are a really great opportunity to add different flavors, textures, and dimensions to the wine. So this one is 95% stainless steel and 5% concrete. It's 99% Sauvignon Blanc and 1% Semillon as well, just a little touch of Semillon in there.
Okay.
But yeah, my goal with the Sauvignon Blanc is just to have that burst of all those amazing aromas and flavors that you can get out of Sauvignon Blanc. Everything from really crisp citrus, some Granny Smith apple where you're getting that really bright acidity.
That. Yes.
And then I love pushing it through that spectrum of some melon and juicy pear, all the way up to just little hints of tropical in there.
Okay. So the Sauvignon Blanc, when you say the concrete, are we talking about the vessels that's very similar to the M4? Or different?
Different, yeah.
What's the different flavors you might get out of concrete that you don't get out of the M4? Because M4 is with clay, right?
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Okay. So the clay can just have a little bit of a different texture overall to it. And one of the things that we can do with the eggs too is we do have temperature control in there. And so the temperature control with concrete allows us again to kind of play with our flavor profile too.
Okay. Very good. No, I like it very much. And well, I'm sure you don't. What's the retail this might be, possibly?
I believe we're around 30.
30, something like that. Okay, very good.
Yeah, depending on the different market, but around $30.
And how many different wines do you make at Cakebread?
We have 18 different wines that we make.
18?
Yes.
No, you.
Yeah,
really?
I know. They keep me busy.
Okay. Well, when I did a little research and I saw the Cap Franc, I was like, wow, you guys make Cap Franc, because I've never had your Cap Franc before. Is it something it's a winery edition type deal?
It was just at the winery only. And last year we started releasing it into wholesale. So you can start to find it out in the market a little bit. So that has been a pretty new release for us to get out. Yeah.
So how many people do you have on your winemaking team?
Our winemaking team is myself and an assistant winemaker, so pretty small. We also have an enologist and a lab tech, because we have a full service lab on site, which is fabulous to have as well. So they support us too.
Okay, before we go to the next wine, I know you and I talked about some of the maybe female winemakers and other people that might be in Napa Valley that might have given you some guidance, or you've guided them on. Have that been a pretty, how would I want to put it, successful marriage as far as the ladies sticking together and helping each other out?
I am so grateful to have a collection of female winemaker friends that are just the most amazing, wonderful people. We just had a dinner last night, which was a collection of female winemakers and female chefs. And every time I get in a room with women like that, it really is inspiring. And the support we give one another, we call each other up all the time, like, hey, I've got this problem. Have you ever seen this? How would you deal with this? So really fortunate to know and be friends with some incredible female winemakers in Napa.
18 SKUs. going back to that, I mean, it's not 18 different wines.
Yeah.
So you must have some. Well, I know you guys also make a Zen, I think, right?
We not anymore. I know they used to.
Yeah, used to, not
but
anymore.
we have a couple different Chardonnays. We do a reserve Sauvignon Blanc as well.
Oh.
That's just exclusively from our estate vineyard. So some of it is, we'll have two different Sauvignon Blancs. With our Chardonnay, we have the Napa Valley Chardonnay. We have a reserve Chardonnay as well.
Okay.
And then we do some vineyard designates of our Chardonnay as well. So a lot of these are just wine club only, or you can only get them at our winery. So you have to come to the winery and visit.
I need to do that.
You do.
Now, you said does the winery also still have because I think in Napa, it's difficult to have food and wine together as far as a restaurant and food. So you guys don't have anything like that, do you?
We do not have a full service restaurant because you're right, in Napa that is not allowed. But we do have a full culinary program.
Oh, okay.
So our chef, Brian Streeter, has been working at Cakebread for 35 years, and we are so lucky to have him. So we do cooking classes on site. Please check out the website because they book out really far in advance.
Oh, wow.
So you got to jump on the cooking classes if you're interested in those. But you can always come and do a wine pairing lunch. That's kind of a special arrangement.
Okay.
But no, it's not just a full service restaurant.
I'm going to have to take you up on that.
You
Sounds
have
good.
to come. And we still have, in honor of Dolores, a 1-acre garden that is right outside of our winery. I think it's probably the most expensive garden in the country. But right outside of my office, we have this beautiful garden with a full-time gardener. And I'll see Brian and the culinary team walk out in the morning and pick whatever is fresh, and then they take it back and prepare it for the day.
Very nice. Now, I might have to take you up on that. Okay, so let's move on to which is probably your money maker at Cakebread. Am I correct in that? Is it okay if I pour you a little pinch?
Yes.
And we can talk about this. Yeah.
So yes, our Napa Chardonnay is our flagship wine. This is the first wine that the Cakebread family launched. So this is, I think, still what most people know us for. They see that label, they know that label,
Yes.
and it is still a very, very popular wine.
All right. Tell me about the making of the Chardonnay. Has it stayed consistent since the original, or did you come in and add a little juice to it, or a little bit?
I have made no changes to it, right? Because I had so many people look at me with fear and panic in their face when I became the winemaker of like, are you going to mess up the Chardonnay?
Yeah, you're going to mess it up. Yeah, I got
People said, someone gave you the recipe, right?
Yeah.
There's not really a recipe, but there is the standard winemaking protocols that we follow. And, this wine has always just been so beautiful and beautifully balanced that there's no reason to change any aspect of it. So quite a bit of this is coming from our Carneros estate vineyards. We do work with some great growers as well. But we are barrel fermenting and really making sure that the fruit stays to the front of what you're experiencing. So only about 30% new French oak in the mix. Otherwise, we're using more neutral oak barrels so that really that vibrant Chardonnay is jumping out of the glass. Again, we're looking to keep the acid really fresh, really crisp. So this vintage, we only did about 8% malolactic on it. So, not going after the buttery style, but still really fresh acid.
Okay. So, some of my listeners that might end up listening to this, they might not understand when you say you kind of control the mallow. First of all, can you explain to them what mallow is and how you control it?
Yes. So there's a process that wine can go through, especially with Chardonnay. You can choose whether or not you want to do that, where you're taking the malic acid that's in the wine and converting it to lactic acid. And I always describe the difference between those. Malic is going to be what you're going to find like in that really tart Granny Smith apple, that really, really fresh, crisp acid. Lactic acid is going to be the kind of acid that you'll find in milk. So softer, creamier style. So it's going to soften the overall acid profile of the wine, as well as potentially introduce some of those buttery notes that you'll find. So you can choose whether or not you add bacteria to the wine in order to help it go through that process. In this case, we're doing that very minimally and just stopping that from occurring.
Very nice. I taste a little Granny Smith in it. right now. Anyway, so I would say that this is more on the Burgundian style.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think
But-
that is one of the things. It's not the, I think what most people think of is that classic Napa Chardonnay or California
I don't want to
Chardonnay.
mention any names. I was getting ready to, but I left it alone. Okay, so go.
So a lot of
But I
times,
have friends at those wineries too, so I can't do
and
that. Yeah.
that
That's
style,
okay. Yeah,
people
I
love
know.
that style.
Oh, of course they do.
And I'm so glad that there are those wines out there for them.
Mhm.
And I also hear from a lot of people, oh, I don't like Chardonnay because they associate really oaky, buttery.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Mhm.
And so for people that I hear that concern, it's always like, no, just try our Chardonnay. It isn't that style. And so I hear from a lot of people, oh, I like this Chardonnay. So for those Chardonnay drinkers, this is the style for them.
We talked about other places that you've been visited and drinking wine, blah blah blah. Do you have any other favorite whites that you prefer drinking other than your own, the cake bread and the Sauvignon Blanc? What's maybe your favorite white grape varietal? Maybe.
I love Sauvignon Blanc in all its variations. I just love the aromas.
Okay.
It's just so vibrant and sassy and expressive. So I really, really love Sauvignon Blanc. When it comes to Chardonnay, I'm a Chablis person.
Chablis?
Yeah, I love my Chablis.
Yeah, Chablis is pretty good. Yeah. It's very good. Absolutely. Yeah, I once wrote a blog site for my blog. I made a justification why Riesling's the best white grape in the world. Just from its versatility.
You have a point there, Thaddeus.
From
and I
its
gotta
versatility.
say, yes, going to the Rhine River and tasting Rieslings there, that was another one of those
you did,
moments in my
I got
life
you, yeah.
where you have some of those Rieslings and you never go back, right?
Yeah.
Oh, they hit you.
Yeah,
right
some of those
there.
dry Rieslings they have over there, and they send all the sweet stuff to America, and they keep the dry Rieslings for themselves. Okay, let's move on. That was interesting. All right, let's talk about. Is there any other different, like some of your own winemaking techniques that you might employ? Since we're going to go over to the reds, that you kind of added a little twist or whatever because of, like, for instance, I was interviewing the guy from Bordeaux. This was a few months ago, and I didn't know that in Bordeaux they were using the technique where they actually do the whole cluster fermentation. But I was like, I didn't think that was permitted. But that's his little niche. That's his little style on making wine. And his last wine scored 98 points too. So, but anyway, anything that you do that's a little bit different or that you can reveal?
Well, with the Pinot Noir, we do some whole cluster fermentations on that. So that's including some of the stems instead of just destemming all of the fruit.
Okay.
I like to kind of build little sandwiches in my open top fermenters
Okay.
where you're destemming some of the Pinot Noir and then you'll add some whole clusters and then you'll add some more destemmed on top.
Okay.
Because it helps you get some of that whole cluster texture, flavor in the wine, but it doesn't make it impossible to punch it down. Sometimes if it's just all whole clusters in there, it can be really hard to do punch downs.
Okay.
And so to be a little bit nicer on my team, I do that sandwich.
Oh, okay. But you're probably the only one that's doing all the punch down, though, right? Or you got somebody to come in for that?
Luckily, I have people
Okay,
that
you
help
got people.
do that.
Now we're going to go to the Pinot Noir. You want to tell us a little bit about the Pinot here?
Yes, we have two gorgeous estate vineyards in Anderson Valley. One is called Anahala, the other one is Apple Barn. And we do individual bottlings of the Pinot from those two vineyards. This is our Two Creeks Pinot Noir, which is a blend of those together. So the Two Creeks Pinot is the one that you can find out in the market, out in wholesale. The single vineyards are direct to consumer only. You have to come to the winery or join our wine club to get them.
So what do you like about Anderson Valley, first of all? Is it the terroir? Is it the weather? Or what attracts you there?
Yeah, Anderson Valley is known for these really expressive Pinot Noirs. And for me, I think it's kind of this midway in between California, the Russian River style of Pinot, and then what you'll find in Oregon. So it is a cooler climate. So I think you kind of get that in between style of Pinot, which to me has a lot of vibrant fruit still. You can get some really nice tannin and structure, but it's not a big ripe style of Pinot. I think it's kind of that nice in between.
And this is 2022, so there's 2023, there's 2024. Is there much of a difference in those three vintages?
Well, starting with 2023 was the first vintage that I made.
Okay.
So I can't take credit for this personal one. But I think the growing seasons between 2022, 2023, and 2024 are actually quite different. 2022 was very warm. The start of our harvest season got hot, stayed hot. We had this now infamous heat dome, as they called it, where we had temperatures of 115 to 120 for about a week straight. So 2022 was a rough vintage to stay ahead of that heat curve.
Yes.
23 was almost the opposite of that, where it was really cool, a very moderate summer, and then the growing season really had extended hang time. When we got into harvest, it still stayed nice and cool for the most part. So we had a later start and then just a more moderate growing season. So Pinot had more time to develop its flavor in 23. And then 2024, we were warmer, it was a little bit earlier, but we had still this really nice moderate July, August period where the Pinot had so much chance to develop these flavor precursors, these aroma precursors, and get really nice tannin development as well. So it's always interesting to see just how much impact our growing season can have on our wines.
I like the Pinot a lot.
A lot of people don't know that we make Pinot, so it's fun to introduce people to our Pinot.
So you say you guys probably make like 3 or 4 different types of Pinots?
Yeah, we have 3 different Pinots.
I assume you make anything that comes from Carneros?
We do not. We've talked about maybe sourcing Pinot from some other locations, but we're not doing that, at least not yet. I love to make Pinot, so we'll see where we go.
Anything particular you like about the Pinot Noir grape?
I just love the softer tannins to it. And again, I love anything that is highly aromatic.
Yes.
Get something in the glass that really jumps out with great aromas, and that's the wine for me. So I love that Pinot can just have this great complexity and array of flavors and aromas.
We'll go to the Cabernet 2021. I know you guys are, I'm probably pouring this in the same glass, but once I get my glass seasoned, I like to stick with it. So it's not that I'm a rookie or anything. So I'm just, I'm
Plus
sorry.
you save a glass then too, right?
You do save a glass.
A little bit.
So this is the 2021 Cabernet, and it says Napa Valley. Is the fruit coming from all over Napa, or is it coming from a particular place in Napa Valley?
It is sourced from lots of locations in Napa. So we have estate vineyards both on the valley floor. We have the blocks that are right around the winery, which our winery actually straddles the Rutherford and Oakville AVAs. So we're right there on the valley floor. We have some vineyards also up by Calistoga, and then we have several that are along the Vaca Range on the east side of Napa Valley.
Got a little bit on Howell Mountain, or
yes, exactly. Our Dancing Bear Vineyard is on.
Bear.
Yeah, so that name might ring a bell.
Yes.
That one's on Howell Mountain. And then we also have 3 really unique special vineyards that are in the southeast corner of Napa Valley. So it doesn't have its own sub-AVA yet, but it's further south even from Coombsville, kind of directly east of where Carneros is. So we're up in the hills there on really rocky soil, and it's very cool. The first time I visited our Susquehanna Mountain vineyard, I said, this is like making wine in Scotland, because it was foggy, it was damp, it was wild.
The temperatures just changed.
It was crazy. Just little bits of ice pellets were hitting my face. But it's such a special place. And, for us, it's one of the ways that we're kind of adapting to climate change, that we're planting Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot, Cabernet Franc in this cooler pocket of Napa and just getting beautiful results out of it. So with our Napa, we have really, in my mind, a unique blend here where we're sourcing from the valley floor, but we're also putting quite a bit of hillside fruit in here.
Okay.
So it gives us an opportunity to blend kind of that softer, really fruit forward style that we get from the valley floor with those supple, kind of luscious tannins, with some of that cab that is packing a little bit more of a tannin punch to it.
So how long and how much French oak is this wine getting, probably, on average?
On average, we're around 45 to 50% new French oak. This is aged 17 to 18 months in barrel before we bottle it. There usually is some blend of Merlot as well, maybe some Cabernet Franc each vintage. And this will always have some blenders in it as well.
Very nice wine, but I think that what I like mostly about your wines is that you're not, at least these wines are not those big, bold, juicy Napa cabs. They're like elegant and they're well balanced in a sense. Yes.
Good.
So I think I don't know if that's the style you guys are going for.
That's exactly what we're aiming for.
Okay.
So
that's
really happy
well,
to
that's
hear
what you
that.
guys get if you drink cake bread. And it's not going to break the bank either. I don't think the wines are overly expensive at all, but it's really, really good quality. All right. Okay. So we'll leave you on this. In the next, your next 3 to 5 years, is there, in your mind, how do you want to maybe get better or improve what you're doing?
That's a great question. Being new with cake bread in our estate vineyards, it's such a learning curve to really get to know your estate vineyards. So for me, it's all about that, really getting to know their individual personalities, how we continue to get the best expression out of them. And the other big thing that, it's a whole conversation to launch into, which I know we don't have time for.
Next time, I'll come and visit you at the winery.
Okay, perfect. Okay. The Cake Bread family's commitment to sustainability has always been part of their ethos.
Yes.
And everything that we do is really doing the work necessary to move the needle. And I think what we're looking at now, moving into, we're already at organic farming practices, but really taking it into the next level of regenerative practices. So starting in 2025, we're moving to no-till in our vineyards. So I think it's continuing to work on how do we make the most out of our resources, keep making this high quality of wine while being very responsible with all of our resources and our vineyards. So I think those are really the goals to keep working towards.
Okay. Good deal. I like to say, let's cheers. I like to say good juice.
Thank you.
Cheers. Thank you, Niki Williams from Cake Bread, the winemaker there, and look forward to the visit sometime soon.
Please do.
Yeah.